You know those days where you wake up at like 6:30 a.m. and work your ass off for 5 hours and you make one little mistake and then throughout the day 1,000 different people just keep reminding you that you messed up? Today's one of those days. But that's a good mischievous, so I'll take that. These things are crazy. Like, how do they build that? I'm sure someone knows. How does that happen? They use this to build the building, but what builds the crane? Cassie and I have been like talking about this because we see these all the time. Just wondering, they actually have to climb up this whole thing to get up there. And the dude just dropped all his stuff down on the line with like a bucket and a backpack. Oh my God, did you leave it in neutral? The thing is moving. It's no big deal, just climbing a 10-story ladder to get to work. I was coming down here to battle this gym, but there's a ride-on right across the street. You can't say no to a big Pokemon like that. To follow up on yesterday's best attackers, I'm here at the Oliver Holmes Zen Spot. I don't actually know where it is, somewhere around here, to talk about the best gym defenders. And, I mean, this is a pretty good representation. Like I said last time with best defenders, the truth is, you just want to put your highest CP Pokemon in the gym. At least Gen 2 brought a small change to that strategy. You just want to put your highest CP Blissey in the gym. Alright, let's talk defenders. We're going to start with my spreadsheet, ranking Pokemon based on their defensive capabilities, which is a combination of their defensive DPS and their tankiness, which is a combination of their defense stat and their HP stat. Since it combines both offense and defensive ability, it's essentially a ranking of how much damage these Pokemon are going to deal before they faint. I started going with the wrong spreadsheet just now, but I'm on the right one. So here we go. The best defensive Pokemon is Blissey with Zen Headbutt and Hyper Beam. The second best defensive Pokemon is Blissey with Zen Headbutt and Dazzling Gleam. The third best defensive Pokemon is Blissey with Pound and Hyper... But Blissey's the best defensive Pokemon, hands down, not only because it's going to deal the most damage before fainting, but because it takes the longest to beat, because it has the highest HP in the game. The truth is, it doesn't really matter which Blissey moveset you get, just put it in a gym because it's going to take longer than any other Pokemon to beat, and that's really discouraging for a lot of people. If they see a lot of Blisseys in a gym, chances are they're not going to mess with that one. They'll find something with Pokemon that are easier to beat that's going to take less time. That's, unfortunately, the best gym defending strategy in Pokemon GO right now. Just fill the gym with Blisseys, and people won't bother with it. I've already talked enough about why CP is a terrible, terrible thing to determine gym placement, so I'm not going to get into it in this video, and hopefully the gym rework that's coming in the next quarter of the year will do something to address this problem, because honestly, I've been saying this since probably like August, September. I'm tired of seeing the same Pokemon in gyms all the time. Gen 2 added Blissey, Tyranitar. Maybe once in a while you'll see an Espeon in a gym. It really didn't change things at all other than adding Blissey. So besides Blissey, here are a few of the Pokemon who are going to deal the most DPS, or the most damage before fainting, as a defender. You have Snorlax with Zen Headbutt Hyper Beam. Snorlax is still a very good defender, and probably second to Blissey, in my opinion. Dragonite with Dragon Tail and Outrage is ranked pretty high on this list, but this list doesn't account for the metagame, meaning Dragonite really has a glaring double weakness to Ice. So any Ice-type Pokemon is going to take Dragonite down very quickly, and that actually knocks it down quite a bit on this ranking list. You have Exeggutor with Confusion and Solar Beam, which is the Legacy moveset, and Exeggutor's CP isn't as high as some of the other Pokemon on this list, so it's not going to get as good gym placement, plus it has its double weakness to Bug-type, so it's actually not as high on this list as it would seem. After that, you have Rhydon with Mudslap and Earthquake, and again, Rhydon has a double weakness to water and grass, meaning it gets knocked down quite a bit on this list. Tyranitar with Iron Tail and Crunch. Tyranitar has a double weakness to fighting, meaning it gets knocked down on the list. Continuing, you have Dragonite with Dragon Tail, Hyper Beam, Dragon Tail Hurricane, Mudslap, Stone Edge, Rhydon. Finally, you get to Lapras with Ice Shard and Ice Beam, which is a Legacy moveset, but Lapras is probably a better defender than any of the Pokemon above it, besides Snorlax and Blissey, of course, because it doesn't have a double weakness that's easily exploited. Unfortunately, with Gen 2, Lapras finally got updated to fall in line with the updated CP formula, and it did get nerfed. So Lapras's max CP really isn't that high anymore. It's, what is it, like 2,800, maybe? 2,600. So yeah, it's really not going to get good placement in gyms anymore, unfortunately. But because it does have good defensive stats, it's actually a better defender than a lot of the Pokemon that are going to get placed in gyms instead of it. And again, this comes back to why CP is a terrible metric for not only determining a Pokemon's strength, but for determining the placement of Pokemon in gyms, because people are just going to put whatever the highest CP Pokemon is in the gym, and as we've seen here, in most cases, those Pokemon aren't actually the best defenders. Snorlax with Zen Headbutt Body Slam, good defender, Legacy moveset. Lapras with Ice Shard Blizzard, good defender, Legacy moveset. Snorlax with Zen Headbutt Heavy Slam, Zen Headbutt Earthquake, and then finally you get Ampharos with Volt Switch and Zap Cannon, which is interesting because we haven't really had a good electric-type defender. And unfortunately for Ampharos, its max CP is around 2,700, so again, it's not going to get put in gyms as often as things like Dragonite, Rhydon, Tyranitar, stuff that all has double weaknesses. So I'm not going to go too much further than that because, like I said, this ranking doesn't account for weaknesses for the metagame for Pokemon that can easily be defeated in battle. But of course the link is in the description, so check it out if you want to see the full list and see which Pokemon, which movesets you should be powering up to use defensively. It's at least good for that. It'll tell you which of the Pokemon's movesets are going to deal the most damage on defense. But now we're going to move into GamePress's tier list, which is, in my opinion, a much better ranking of defensive Pokemon. From GamePress, it says this tier list combines our best mathematical understanding of gym defense AI, simulated matchup data, and real-world metagame analysis. So these rankings are determined by calculations like the ones on my spreadsheet, but also simulated matchup data, meaning they've run simulations and found out which Pokemon win the most battles defensively, and real-world metagame analysis, which, like I said, includes things like double weaknesses that are easily exploited. So like I said, Blissey, of course, is tier 1 all by itself. Nothing else even holds a candle to Blissey. They list Pound or Zen Headbutt and Dazzling Gleam as its best moveset, which is probably true, it's its best moveset. But like I said earlier, any Blissey moveset is going to do the trick. Tier 2, like I said, is going to be Snorlax with Zen Headbutt and either Body Slam or Hyper Beam. But again, Snorlax with any moveset is going to be a fairly decent defender. These are just the movesets that are going to deal the most damage defensively. And again, Body Slam is a little bit harder to dodge than Hyper Beam, so in a lot of cases that's probably the better choice because, you know, Hyper Beam, it has such a long wind-up time, it's easy to dodge. Whereas Body Slam can kind of come as a surprise and the Pokemon that's attacking your defending Snorlax will take some more damage that way. Tier 2.5, these Pokemon all have high CP, but double weaknesses that are easily exploited. Tyranitar has double weakness to fighting, Dragonite to ice, Rhydon to grass and water, and Gyarados to electric. So you do see these Pokemon in gyms a lot because they have high CP, but they're really, honestly pretty easy to beat as long as you have Pokemon with type advantage against them. In Tier 3, GamePress lists Vaporeon and Lapras, which are both pretty good defenders. They have good defensive stats. Like I said earlier, Lapras kind of got a bit of a nerf in terms of CP, so it doesn't get as good placement anymore. Is it getting too dark in here? Here we go. I got a light right here. Ooh, that's super bright. So from Tier 3, Vaporeon is going to be the better choice in terms of placement, but Lapras will deal more damage as a defender than Vaporeon will. Once we get down to Tier 3.5, these are Pokemon that you really aren't going to see in gyms very often. Donphan, Espeon, Exeggutor, Ampharos, Slowbro, Slowking, and Steelix. Steelix is actually an interesting one. It has very low max CP. 2400 is Steelix's max CP. So again, not going to get good gym placement, just like most of these Pokemon, but it is very strong defensively. It has pretty high HP and very high defense. So after the gym rework, it might actually be a better gym defender if, and I'm really hoping for this, if Niantic ditches CP as a way of determining which Pokemon get the best placement in gyms. Because honestly, there are a lot of Pokemon who are designed to be defensive, who would actually make very good defenders if it weren't for them having such low CP. One of those is Cloyster, who comes in at Tier 4, and Umbreon as well. Umbreon has very low max CP, much lower than Espeon, but it's designed to be a defensive Pokemon. It has very good defensive stats. Unfortunately, it has low CP. So we're going to hop back to my spreadsheet really quickly to just talk about tankiness. I took it off the main rankings page, but if you go to showing work, you can sort Pokemon by tankiness, which is what we're going to do right now. So these are the tankiest Pokemon, essentially the Pokemon who are going to take the longest to beat. Obviously, Blissey is at the top. Right below it is Chansey, as we know from Gen 1, but of course Chansey has very low max CP, so it doesn't get good placement, and that's why you don't really see it in gyms. Plus, you might as well just evolve it to Blissey at this point. Lugia, Ho-Oh, we're going to get rid of legendaries right now. So after Chansey, you have Snorlax, like we said, Snorlax, Tier 2 defender. And then you have Steelix. Steelix has very good defensive stats, but low max CP, which is why you're not going to see it in gyms, unfortunately. Umbreon, again, very good defensively. Lapras, good defensively. Vaporeon, good defensively. Rhydon, good on defense, but has very exploitable weaknesses. Scrolling down, you'll see more of the best defensive Pokemon in terms of defensive stats only. You have Tyranitar. Wobbuffet actually has very high HP, so it makes a good defender in that sense. Miltank, Muck, Donphan, Tentacruel, Gyarados, and you see a lot of these, you really don't see them in gyms, again, because of their low CP. Since it's dark and I don't feel like moving the lights, and because we've also covered everything there is to cover, we're going to wrap this video up. Those are the best defenders. I'll link to GamePress's tier list article with their explanations of why everything is placed the way it is. I'll link to the spreadsheets so you can check those out. But again, remember, Blissey. That's really all there is to it. But until we get that gym rework, that's the way it's going to be. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have questions, make sure to leave them down below. I'll try to get to them. Ask me on Twitter. I'm a lot more apt to respond there. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope it was helpful in some way. I'm sure you already knew that Blissey is the best defender. But still, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.